Description. Grand, grande. Petit, petite. Gros, grosse. Mince. Laid, laide. Moche. Beau, belle, jolie. Jeune, vieux, vieille. Just a quick reminder about adjectives. As we've seen last lesson, adjectives add an E in the feminine in most cases, sometimes an extra letter, unless there's already one. We know that. And then for the plural, we add an extra S for either the masculine or the feminine. So let's practice those new adjectives together. Grand, grande. Petit, petite. Gros, grosse. We add an extra S for the same S, because if we only left one S, it would be grosse. Next one. Mince stays the same in the feminine because it ends with an E. Laid, laide. Moche, moche. Beau, belle. In the plural, beau has an X, but is a silent X, and belle works exactly the same as usual with an extra S. Jolie, jolie. Jeune, jeune. Vieux, vieille. A very specific form of the feminine, the same as belle. That's something you need to remember because these words are very common, so they're bound to pop up quite a lot in conversation. And for vieux, the masculine form stays the same and the feminine form stays the same in the plural. Of course, to be able to describe people or things, we need a verb, and we should be familiar with the verb être, to be. I hope you've begun to memorize and to be very confident in using this verb. But let's not forget that we can also use it in the negative form. And the way we do that, if you remember from previous lessons, we put the little two-letter word ne before the verb, and then we put pas after the verb. So the verb être goes like this. Je suis becomes je ne suis pas. Tu n'es pas. Il n'est pas. Elle n'est pas. On n'est pas. Nous ne sommes pas. Vous n'êtes pas. Ils ne sont pas. Elles ne sont pas. So let's start making descriptions. We've got our verb être. Green tick means it's the affirmative form. The red cross means it's the negative form. We've got our adjectives, and this is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a little strip like this with a word in French, and a green tick means, of course, it's the affirmative form that we're looking for, and a word in blue that's in English. I need you to find the correct translation. So for example, here, ma sœur, green tick, short, means you need to say ma sœur est petite. If I take this other example, mon frère, red cross, tall, I need you to say my brother isn't tall. Mon frère n'est pas grand. Got it? So let's go. I'll probably wait a couple of seconds after each of the phrases and we'll check almost after. C'est parti. Mes parents, green tick, old. Mes parents sont vieux, Hope you got it right. Numéro 2. Les tables, beautiful. Les tables sont belles. Note that the word table is feminine. 3. La maison, red cross, big. La maison n'est pas grande. Les chats, answer. Les chats sont minces. The last one. Nous ne sommes pas vieux. So let's try to add some detail to our descriptions and try to make them more interesting and more precise. And the way we're going to do that is by using adverbs. You must think, here we go again, another grammar term, she's at it again. Well, I am, because I love grammar anyway, but those terms are not difficult to understand if you know what they stand for. So let's recap what we already know. We know that adjectives describe nouns, like we've seen with colors, or in this lesson, tall, small, short. Now, adverbs are similar words in the sense that they describe or give more information about actions. For example, I drive slowly. Slowly is an adverb because it describes the way I drive, the way I do the action. Or it can also describe adjectives. For example, he is very tall. We know he's tall, but we don't know how much or how tall he is. So very gives us a bit more information about that. So it's an adverb. So now let's see how it works in French. Now let's have a look at 4 common adverbs or adverbial phrases, which means they are comprised of more than one word. And here they are. Très, très, assez, assez, un peu, trop, trop. Now let's see how we can use these in a sentence. So here's a sentence. Le pull est grand. And this is how it works. With très, le pull est très grand. The jumper is very big. Or in the negative form, le pull n'est pas très grand. The jumper isn't very big. Now note that it is exactly the same word order as English, with the adverb before the adjective or after the verb, in between. With assez, le pull est assez grand. The jumper is quite big. But in the negative, be careful. We can't just say the jumper isn't quite big. We've got to insist on the enough, not enough. Pas assez means not enough. Le pull est un peu grand. The jumper is a bit big. Le pull n'est pas un peu grand. The jumper isn't a bit big. Now, I don't think that really works either in French or English. So I'm going to discount this as not really a sentence that can be accepted. And then trop, le pull est trop grand, the jumper is too big. Le pull n'est pas trop grand, the jumper isn't too big. Now you see that with just 4 adverbs, you can actually make your speaking and your conversations a lot more detailed and more interesting. So that's very, very useful to remember adverbs in your conversations in French. Now, I told you last lesson that regarding word order and adjectives, most adjectives are usually placed after what they describe. That's why I said usually. Now, let's recap what we saw last lesson. We saw that the black cat should be le noir chat, but that in fact we swapped them around and we said le chat noir. This is how most adjectives behave in French. but there is a list of a few adjectives that go before, and we have quite a few that we've learned today. So grand, petit, gros, beau, joli, jeune and vieux will always be used in the same order as English. Okay? So if I give you an example, le gros chat, that's the same order as English with the big cat. If I wanted to use a normal adjective that doesn't go at the beginning or before what it describes, like a color, I'd have to put it in its normal French way after the adjective. So, le gros chat noir means the big black cat. Finally, let's practice. You have a French text with vocabulary you've learned in this lesson or in previous lessons. And on the right-hand side in blue, you have the English translation. What you need to do is to work out which words are hidden under each tile. You may want to pause the video to give yourself some time to formulate your answers or to write them down. If that's the case, you may want to pause the video now because I'm going to check the answers. C'est parti. Bonjour, je m'appelle Ludo. Remember how to say my name is? Je suis assez grand et mince. J'ai une sœur Sylvie, elle est très petite et assez jolie. Mes parents sont un peu vieux, mais ils sont, verbe être, très beaux. J'ai un chat, il est trop gros et très moche. Salut! Félicitations, you've completed lesson 6. I hope that you find the explanations on grammatical terms very useful and that you are more confident in using the language and that you're beginning to use it for real purposes. So carry on practicing, memorize new vocabulary, and don't forget that the handout's available if you need it so that you can carry on with practicing. Practice makes perfect. But for now, all I have to say is au revoir et à bientôt for lesson number 7.